There comes a point in life when everything begins to feel strangely heavy and strangely empty at the same time. You wake up with the sense that the world has lost its color, that the routines you once followed with purpose now feel dull, and that even simple tasks require far more energy than they should. You catch yourself asking questions you never used to ask. What is the point of all this? Where am I going? Why does any of this matter? And sometimes the silence that follows feels even heavier than the questions themselves. But this feeling, as unsettling as it is, does not mean that you are broken. It does not mean that you lack strength or discipline or clarity. It means you are human. It means you have been carrying the weight of responsibilities, expectations, memories, and unspoken emotions for far longer than you realize. It means your inner world is trying to speak to you in the only language it has left, a quiet whisper that says something inside you needs attention. Recognizing this feeling is the first and most important step. Many people try to run from the sense of pointlessness. They throw themselves into distractions, more work, more noise, more entertainment, anything to avoid sitting with that uncomfortable emptiness. But escaping the feeling never heals it. It only buries it deeper, where it grows quietly until it becomes impossible to ignore. Instead of trying to outrun it, pause and notice it. Notice the tightness in your chest. Notice the fatigue in your thoughts. Notice the moments when you force yourself to smile or pretend everything is fine even though something inside you feels disconnected. Recognizing these inner signals is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of awareness. It means you are finally listening to yourself. Sometimes this feeling arises because you have been living at a pace that does not match your inner rhythm. Sometimes it comes from constantly giving to others while forgetting to refill your own energy. Sometimes it comes when you have outgrown an old version of yourself but have not yet stepped into the new one. Life transitions are often disguised as emotional fog. You may not see what lies ahead, but your intuition senses that the path behind you no longer fits. There is also a deeper truth here. When everything feels pointless, it is usually because you have lost connection with the parts of your life that bring meaning, not because those parts no longer exist. Meaning doesn't disappear. It simply becomes hidden under layers of exhaustion, disappointment, or silence. So instead of judging yourself for feeling this way, simply acknowledge it. Say to yourself, I am not the only one who has felt this. This is temporary. This is a signal. The moment you recognize the feeling with honesty rather than resistance, something begins to shift. Not dramatically, not instantly, but gently. Awareness creates space. And in that space, the process of healing quietly begins. After recognizing that everything feels pointless, the instinct for many people is to immediately fix the feeling. They want solutions, strategies, distractions, or big breakthroughs that can magically erase the emptiness. But emptiness is not a problem to solve. It is a message to understand. And the message becomes clearer only when you slow down enough to listen. Slowing down is not laziness. It is not giving up. It is the process of allowing your inner world to breathe. When you constantly rush from one obligation to another, constantly make yourself available for others, constantly push through emotional fatigue, your mind and body never get the space they need to recover. Eventually, burnout appears disguised as meaninglessness. You start to feel disconnected, not because life has no meaning, but because you have been moving too fast to feel it. So the first step in reconnecting is to pause. Not the kind of pause where you simply stop working but continue worrying. Not the kind of pause where you distract yourself with social media, noise, or entertainment. A real pause, a conscious pause, a moment where you allow yourself to simply be, without demanding anything from yourself. Sit somewhere quiet, maybe on your bed, maybe outside where you can feel the breeze, maybe by a window with natural light touching your face. Let yourself breathe slowly, not forcing the breath, but watching it come and go. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Feel the subtle energy inside your hands. These are simple experiences, but they ground you back into the present moment, the only place where meaning can be felt. When everything feels pointless, your mind often becomes foggy. You overthink, you judge yourself, you question your decisions, and you criticize your progress. Slowing down helps soften this internal noise. It creates a small gap between you and your thoughts, allowing you to see that not every thought you have is the truth. Some thoughts are just tired echoes of stress. Some are fears pretending to be logic. And some are old beliefs you outgrew long ago. Reconnection begins with awareness, but it strengthens through gentleness. Treat yourself the way you would treat a friend who feels lost. You wouldn't push them. You wouldn't tell them to toughen up. You would listen. You would reassure. You would give them space. Offer the same softness to yourself. Allow yourself to observe the world again with fresh eyes. Notice the warmth of sunlight. Notice the sound of leaves rustling. Notice the comfort of a warm cup of tea in your hands. These small sensations may seem insignificant, but they quietly remind your mind that not everything in life is about achieving or performing. Some things simply exist to be experienced. Reconnection is not a dramatic moment of awakening. It is a slow, gentle return to yourself. It is the process of rediscovering your inner rhythm after months or years of moving through life on autopilot. And the more you slow down, the more you realize that the feeling of pointlessness wasn't the end of meaning. It was the beginning of finding it again from a deeper and more authentic place within you. When life feels pointless, the mind naturally searches for huge answers. You want clarity, direction, and a sense of purpose that feels powerful enough to pull you out of the emptiness. But here is the quiet truth that many people overlook. Purpose rarely returns in a grand moment. It comes back in small pieces, one gentle step at a time. In times of emotional exhaustion, big goals can feel overwhelming. Even thinking about the future can feel heavy, as if you're staring into a fog with no path in sight. That is why rediscovering purpose must begin with simplicity. Instead of asking yourself deep, intimidating questions like, what am I meant to do with my life? Or what is the meaning of everything? Shift your focus to something much smaller, much kinder. What is one small thing I can do today that makes me feel even a little more alive? It might be as simple as taking a quiet walk without your phone. It might be opening a window and letting fresh air fill your room. It could be cleaning a small corner of your space, journaling your thoughts for 5 minutes, watering a plant, or even just stretching your body slowly. These tiny actions are not meaningless. They are seeds. And like seeds, they may be small, but they have the potential to grow into something meaningful. Small actions reconnect you with movement, and movement reconnects you with life. When you feel stuck, you don't need to leap. You just need to take a step, even a tiny one. The mind, when overwhelmed, tends to believe that if something isn't big, it isn't important. But this is a lie created by burnout. Humans are not machines. You don't need huge accomplishments to feel purposeful. What you need is momentum, connection, and a sense of direction, even if it begins quietly. Another powerful way to rediscover small purpose is to reconnect with experiences that once brought you peace or joy. Think about the activities you used to enjoy before life got heavy. Reading a few pages of a book, listening to music that calms your soul, sitting outside at dusk, drawing, writing, cooking, or simply being creative. Even if these activities don't feel as meaningful as they once did, still allow yourself to engage with them. Sometimes the feeling returns only after you begin. Also consider reaching out to someone you trust. A small conversation, a shared laugh, or even a simple check-in can remind you that you are not isolated. Connection is one of the strongest antidotes to emptiness. You don't need to explain everything you're feeling. Just being in the presence of another human being can quietly reawaken the sense that you matter. Rediscovering purpose is not about fixing your entire life in one moment. It is about allowing yourself to rediscover tiny sparks of meaning, one small task, one small decision, one small movement. These small acts are like lights in the darkness. Each one may seem insignificant on its own, but together they guide you toward a place where you can feel again, hope again, and eventually believe again. Small purpose grows into greater purpose, and greater purpose begins the moment you choose to take one gentle step forward. When everything feels pointless, the mind becomes obsessed with finding meaning somewhere far away, somewhere in the future, somewhere in a perfect version of your life, somewhere beyond the confusion you're experiencing right now. But the truth is that meaning does not wait for you in some distant moment. Meaning is always hidden in the present, quietly waiting to be noticed. The present moment is the only place where life actually happens. The past is memory, the future is imagination, but the present is real. It has texture, breath, softness, sound, warmth, depth. The problem is that when you feel lost, you stop experiencing the present and instead get trapped inside your thoughts. You start living in a constant loop of comparing, worrying, overthinking, and replaying. This mental loop creates the illusion that life itself is empty, when in reality, the emptiness is only inside the mind, not the moment. Finding meaning again begins with shifting your attention back to what is real, right now. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now, start by observing simple things around you. The feel of the air on your skin, the quiet hum of distant sounds, the warmth of a cup in your hands, the way light enters the room. These details seem small, but they anchor you back into life. They remind you that existence is not something you figure out, it is something you feel. Meaning is not always a grand purpose. Sometimes real meaning is found in the softness of a slow morning, in a conversation that makes you feel seen, in the gentle rhythm of your breath, in the beauty of something ordinary. When you allow yourself to return to these small pieces of the present, the heaviness begins to loosen. Another powerful shift is accepting that meaning is not something you wait for. It is something you create. Even the smallest acts can bring meaning into your life. Helping someone, speaking kindly, learning something new, creating something with your hands, taking care of your body. These actions generate a sense of direction, even when your emotions are quiet or uncertain. You don't need full clarity to live. You don't need to know the destination before taking the first step. The truth is, nobody truly knows where they are going. Everyone is simply moving, learning, adjusting, and discovering as they go. The people who feel meaning in life are not the ones who have everything figured out. They are the ones who stay connected to the present long enough to notice beauty, purpose, and opportunity where others see nothing. When everything feels pointless, remind yourself of this: the meaning is not gone. It is simply covered by tiredness, by stress, by disappointment, by unanswered questions. But like clouds covering the sun, the meaning is still there. It has not disappeared. It is waiting for you to slow down, breathe, and return to yourself. And when you begin to feel even the slightest spark, a moment of calm, a moment of interest, a moment of connection, follow it gently. Small moments grow, small breaths expand, small awareness turns into deep clarity. And from that clarity, meaning naturally rises again, not from forcing life to be different, but from allowing yourself to be present with the life you already have.